Hello, and in this video I'm going to show you how to stop debt collectors' calls right now. I'm talking about a simple, easy one-step system. It works on all debt collectors. It's going to stop the harassing phone calls immediately. It'll stop the debt collection letters. It'll destroy thousands of dollars of debt for you. And it's perfectly legal because we use the Federal Fair Credit Act to help you. Now the law is going to be on your side. So how are we going to stop these debt collectors in their tracks with just one letter? Understand, this is how the process works. When you sign up for a credit card or any other unsecured debt and you don't pay it off, the bank or the financial institution will try to collect the funds from you for about 90 to 180 days. When they're not able to collect the debt, they will charge it off their books and sell the debt to a debt collector. That's a good thing and a bad thing. The banks are normally pretty nice about asking for their money, but the debt collectors are not always so kind and sometimes will use nasty tactics, which I'm sure you've probably experienced by now. Now you need to understand that the bank wrote you off as a bad debt and took you off of their books. They filed a claim with the credit bureaus and sold the debt for a discount to the debt collector. The debt collector is going to try and get you to admit the debt and collect it in any way that they can. So they'll start with phone calls, trying to get you to admit the debt. Don't give them anything, not your social security number or admit the debt. Just tell them you do not talk about money or accounts on the phone. You're really busy. And if they want to send something to the address they have on file, you'll take a look at it. Don't even verify your address if you can help it. If they don't have it, great. This is the first step. So because the debt collector is not the original debtor, they have to reestablish the debt. They have to get you to agree that you owe the money that they're trying to collect. Now in the letter they send you, it'll say something like this: unless you notify this office within the 30 days after receiving this letter that you dispute the validity of this debt, this office will assume this debt is valid. We are going to dispute that debt within 30 days. And remember, don't ignore them. Now, understand it says, unless you notify this office within 30 days after receiving this letter that you dispute the validity of this debt, this office will assume this debt is valid. If you turn that around and understand it, it means that they do not have verification of this and they're trying to get you to admit to this debt. Now, if your last letter of demand is more than 30 days old, don't worry about it. We can still help you. It's just a little more difficult, but we can still help. So remember, we want to answer them within 30 days, or they can take it to the next level, which could be taking you to court to get a judgment on you, garnish your wages, freeze your bank accounts, put liens on you. So we're going to send a letter in response to their letter of demand. In our letter, we will answer their letter of demand with our own demands. They must cease and desist all phone calls is number one. The Federal Fair Credit Act requires that they must treat you fairly and requires them to stop all contact if you request it. Number two, we're going to require them to produce 14 conditions that they must comply with to establish the debt. This is a conditional acceptance. Now, if they can prove it, we can talk, but they're not going to be able to prove it or satisfy all 14 conditions. Number three, by law, they have 21 days to respond to the letter with proper documented proof of the debt. If they're unable to provide the proof in full, they must cease and desist, and with no proof, you have no duty or obligation to any portion of this debt in question, so they'll have to retire it. So again, if they can't prove the debt, then you're going to have no duty or obligation to any portion of this debt, and they'll have to retire it. That's a great thing. So number four, we're going to add a clause in there. If they fail to fully comply with all 14 points in the letter and proceed with a writ of garnishment or even try to take you to court, they will be liable for $75,000 in damages. This is going to help you keep the whole matter out of court. So as you can see, we've covered all the bases for you, and this will stop the calls and letters by using the Federal Fair Credit Act laws for you. Once we put this into play, the calls and the letters will stop, and you can get a great night's sleep and not worry about the phone calls and the letters anymore. Trust me, your life will be a lot better. The reason I know so much about this is a few years ago I had a change in my life and my income was cut in half and I was not able to pay all the bills. So I went to the bank and told them of my dilemma, and I spent many hours on the phone and only to be told the only way to get into a hardship program was stop paying the bill. Then I could get into a special hardship program. Now that's not what I wanted, as my credit score was in good shape at the time and I still had a 700 plus credit score and didn't want to lose that. Needless to say, the banks didn't care, so I stopped paying those loans and they started calling and sending letters and my credit was destroyed. And as I'm sure you can relate, the stress was mounting. It was getting pretty bad. Well, the next year was very stressful, and that caused a breakdown in my relationship with my wife, and we ended up getting a divorce, and I lost my nice house in the process. Maybe you can relate. Still, the calls and the letters kept coming, and I felt bad about the situation and kept looking for a solution to the problem, because I knew the ultimate pain would be if the debt collectors went to court, got a judgment on me, they could attach my wages or send me to jail for non-payment of the judgment. Fortunately for me, I believe that every problem has a solution, and I kept looking and asking everybody I knew about what I should do. One friend of mine suggested I file bankruptcy, and we went to go see his lawyer. He only wanted $1,200 to start the process, and I would have had to file a whole ton of papers, justify my position, and they wanted tax returns and tons of information. And at the end of the day, it didn't seem like they were going to write off the loan. It seemed like they were just going to restructure payments or something like that. Didn't seem like a very good deal to me. So I told you I believe for every problem there is a solution. So I kept looking. I knew this guy that was a millionaire, and I tried to get to talk to him because I thought if anybody knew the best solution, it would be him. I do know the difference between people who make a lot of money and people that don't is knowledge. So to cut a long story short, for months and months, I made calls to get to talk to him on this matter. When I finally got to him, he told me all I needed was a better job so I could pay my bills. And I asked him if he knew of one. He said, well, no, he'd been retired out of business a long time ago. He did tell me he had a friend that may be able to help me. So I got his contact details and started to call him. It took a couple of weeks to get an appointment. He's an older guy. When I did, he said he could help me, but it was going to cost a lot of money, something I didn't have. He told me he could draft a letter to solve the problem. He said that he'd used this letter for over 5 years with 100% success when applied correctly. And he'd taken care of thousands of dollars of debt for all kinds of people over the years. I told him my sad story, and I told him I really needed his help and what could I do to get his help. He said he was a little tired of helping people one-on-one, and if I could find a way to help a lot of people in trouble without him having to be personally involved, he might help me. And I told him I could set it up so his letter would help a lot of people and he'd never have to do anything, and I'd be able to pay him for his time in due course. So he said he'd help me. This is why you're getting an opportunity to be able to use this powerful letter right now. Now, I've used this letter in the last 3 months, retired $19,657.09 in debt. Now, I want to help you to do the same thing. So, if you'd like to get a new start and the calls and letters to stop, I can help you. This is a very special letter, and it'll solve your problem. You'll need to have a little faith, as you don't know me, and this may sound a little hard to believe. But it's all true, and I can help you if you'll just trust that I have your best interest at heart. And I've been where you are now. Now I sleep well at night, and the phone's my friend. I want to help you to retire your debt and sleep well and get a new start. This letter is so easy and so powerful. So here's what you're going to get. When you click on the button below, you'll get an email with the instructions where to send your letters to. You'll also get an email and a fax number. Either one will work. Just get your letters to me as quickly as you can. Since each letter has to be customized for each situation, you send in your letter of demand, and we will write a letter and return it to you in 24 hours. All you need to do is sign it, date it, and send it registered mail and get a good night's sleep. The calls and letters will stop. Now, if you had to pay somebody to write this letter, it could easily cost $2,000 or more if you could find somebody that knew how to write the letter in the first place. So now you can retire thousands of dollars in debt with just one letter, We now have a system that will allow us to offer you this service for a lot less than that $2,000. Just imagine not having to worry about the calls and the letters and them trying to get a judgment on you, drag you into court, and maybe garnish your wages or something like that. All those worries will be gone. So here's what we're going to do for you. Click on the button below and invest $97 today, and in 24 hours you'll have your letter and a good night's sleep knowing that you'll not be called again. We're so confident that you'll be so happy with this, we're even going to do 2 letters for you for that same $97. How do you know this will work for you in your situation? Let me tell you, we've helped hundreds of people to get free from the problem of debt collectors calling them at home and work and at dinner, and they all love it. No more calls from debt collectors. The debt collectors are not dumb. They know the law, and if you send this letter, the law is now on your side. Wouldn't that be nice? One last thing. To keep the integrity of this letter and its effectiveness, we will be limiting the number of letters we will be handling. So we may have to take this website down at any time. This window of opportunity will not be open forever, so I encourage you to click on the button below now and let us help you solve this problem. We are so confident this will work for you, we're offering you 2 letters for the price of 1. And if we get a look at your documents and this will not work for you, we will refund your money immediately, and we'll see if there's another way we can help you in your situation. We want to help you because we know how it feels to always wonder, is this call from a debt collector? We've been there. So I want to ask you a question. I don't know if $97 is a huge investment for you, but what other options do you have? Ignore the calls and letters? They're going to drag you into court and get a judgment on you, and that's not pretty. They could garnish your wages or your income, freeze your bank accounts, or possibly even send you to jail. We don't want that. Now I want to show you some proof. Normally, once you send this letter, you never hear from them again because your case will be put in a special file. The letter you will see now is a typical debt collection letter, which you may be familiar with. Please note, with this letter, they're trying to collect a balance of $5,883.85 on a Capital One bank card. So take a look at it's NCO Financial Systems. Take a look. Capital One Bank is the bank card they're trying to collect on, and the balance due, or the total amount, is $5,883.85. The second letter I'm going to show you right now is from the same debt, and the letter says, "Please be advised that the above referenced account has been placed on a status to prevent further collection activity from NCO." That means they've retired the debt. Now understand, this is not common. 90% of the time you'll never hear from them again. So to get started, just click on the button below and let's give you a new start. So here's the second letter. Take a look. It's NCO Financial Systems again. Again, it's the Capital One card. Again, it's the same amount, $5,883.85. Okay? And what it says here is, "Thank you for your inquiry regarding the above referenced account. Please be advised that the above referenced account has been placed on status to prevent further collection activity from NCO." So you will never hear from them again. So now you know we have a solution to your problem of the debt collectors calling you. And we have a proven way for you to retire the debt. So now that you can get a new start, a good night's sleep, the only question is, will you invest $97? Trust me, you'll look back on this decision in 2 weeks and say, that was the best $97 I ever invested. So click on that button below and let's get started now. I'm ready to help you. Have a great day.